Do you want to see revamped basketball rosters? Move that bus!
Happy Monday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by Professor Oates. We've got the deli man behind the Mac making all of the magic happen. Do us a solid. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Got JJ being here. BC. Guys, if you're an Arizona State Sun Devil fan, drop the little forks up emoji or the trident, whatever it is, in the comments. Look, only a couple practices left for spring football, but the Sun Devils don't practice till this evening. So we have a ton to discuss on the hardwood as it relates to Bobby Hurley and Molly Miller, what they've been up to in the transfer portal. But it looks like Shane has a question. Yes, Deli Man.
JJ, you're not wrong.
JJ's not wrong.
JJ in the chat says, I fear for the Sun Devils men basketball roster. Objectively, on paper, it is not good. Shane, tell me I'm wrong, but I don't feel wrong. LOL.
And it's tough when Shane says it because Shane, for the last few years, has been very heavy.
Here you go. Here's a spin.
Okay.
I have, and many people have, been optimistic about the last 2 years of the roster when it was objectively talented.
Correct.
On paper.
Yes.
This roster is a bunch of
very
I'm about to say, I'm interested to see where he goes with
interested in what
this.
follows that.
Is not
A bunch of...
It's a bunch of mid-major
There we go.
basketeers that average 16 points a game in their respective conferences, and some freshmen, and it doesn't look very good. But maybe that means it is going to be good.
That's the spin.
This is like the underdog story.
When everybody wants Bobby to zig, he zags.
Let's get that documentary crew back in here. That nobody believed in us. The We Believe Sun Devils. Huh?
The We Believe Sun Devils.
The We Believe Sun Devils.
Look, I think, again, we'll get into each of these transfers for the men's side and the women's side. So definitely stick around if you are an ASU hoops enthusiast for either squad. But I think, again, kind of just addressing the larger picture when you look at this Arizona State men's basketball roster from what it is now versus, what it was last season. I think, despite the injuries and the rotation being iffy throughout the majority of the year, I think if you looked at last year's roster when healthy, you could make certain arguments being like, okay, I see it. I see the
For
path,
sure.
right? You got your 5 stars, you got your top 100 prospects, you got, a guy in BJ Freeman who scores at all 3 levels. You like what you see from Alston Mason. Let's get some extra minutes from Sean Phillips. You got that. There's development. And then everything kind of, fell apart down the stretch. Injuries, coaching, whatever. And kind of like you said, Shane, looking at this roster as a whole now, it does feel like for lack of better terms, a less talented roster, or a less, maybe I won't say less talented, but less proven roster than you were getting from the guys last year. So I think in terms of like hope, motivation, whatever from the fan base, well, fans are already upset because Bobby's coming back. Right.
Yeah.
And now you look at it and it's like, okay, well, you needed to go make a splash. You needed to go get at least one guy, I felt like, in the portal that was from a big school that had played at a really high level, and you could maybe, just maybe, get the fan base to be like, okay, Quaintz is gone, Sannon's gone, all these other guys are gone, but hey, we got this. And now you look at this group of individuals from a bunch of mid-major conferences, which, again, I guess tip your cap to what they did at those schools. But when you plug and play what they did for schools like a Cal State Northridge or a Pepperdine, Toledo, and you put that against these other Big 12 teams in a Houston, in a Kansas, in an Iowa State, it looks very much like you are going to get a similar result, if not worse, than you got last year.
Yeah, I would not set my expectations high for the team, which is, inherently different than where we were sitting 365 days ago. JJ says, technically still time, 3 scholarship spots open, but I'm not hopeful. Again, I don't want to go and just dog on players who are playing at lower level conferences in college basketball and divisions and whatnot, because it's getting increasingly more talented at every level, right? Like, you are playing higher level hoops in the WCC or the All Big West, like the Big West, you're playing more talented guys there than you would have 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So you can throw that in there and therefore possibly making the argument that it's easier to transfer into some of these bigger conferences. But while their level of competition has risen,
so have the other conferences.
So has especially the Big 12.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at these players specifically, and you look at this last season, and you're like, okay, well, what went wrong? And a lot of people, and I think rightfully so, pointed towards coaching and roster fit, and then depth and everything. And you're not putting these players in the best position to get the most out of them. So when you're looking at a team inherently made up of more underdogs, of players who might have a tougher time going from a smaller conference to a bigger conference without having like that surefire, clear number one guy. Is Mo Odom that guy?
He's just so small.
But
dude.
I think as far as like portal rankings and everything, he is that guy for this roster, right? So he's your lighthouse. He's your torch carrier, right? And no disrespect to Mo Odom at all, but are you going to sit back and sell yourself on that being the selling point of your roster? I don't know. And maybe we're underrating these guys, and maybe Bobby's going for depth and fit, and maybe that helps him coach better. But I don't feel confident that we're going to be able to raise the floor of all of these players collectively in a conference as brutal as the Big 12. Like, that's the big punch here. If this was the Pac-12, maybe you could talk yourself into it a little bit more, but Big 12 is every single game brutal.
Here's the issue with it. It's not about mid-major transfers, because if you know me, I love mid-major transfers.
They're your favorite.
I love 18 points per game scores that lead the Horizon League. They have a Sun Belt points per game scorer leader in this transfer class. But what is the issue is you get those players to supplement your roster. You don't get them to build around. Yeah. There's a reason why mid-major schools don't succeed in the tournament often. It's because they are built with mid-major talent. You need upside that stays on the roster, or you need consistency that stays on the roster, and then what was the problem last year? You needed a couple more points from this position. You needed some more defense here. So then you supplement around, the players that are coming back. This is, and I know there's been turnover every year, but this is legitimately just hodgepodge, like a hodgepodge of mid majors. You don't have like a big splash Adam Miller type guy. You don't have a big splash, recruit.
Not even like a Desmond Cambridge type.
No. So that's that. Yeah, exactly. You're not even having a fringe power 4 guy. Like the Cambridge brothers, one, obviously, Devin went to Auburn, and he played real minutes. But Desmond, while he was a mid-major player at Nevada, he was the conductor of that train. And Nevada is in the Mountain West. They play power 4 talent all the time, and he succeeded at the level. You don't have that this year, and that's the most concerning part.
I think for me, kind of building off that, you also just purely looking at these guys positionally and size-wise, it's going to be a smaller team than it was last year, right?
It was already small last year.
You had Quaince at 6'10", you had Sean Phillips at 7 feet, you had Bashir, who was 6'8", 6'9". You had a little bit more, I guess, a variety of size. It feels like you look at this roster and it is built up of strictly guards and forwards, right? You don't have any true centers on this roster. You don't have a 7-footer on this roster after you lost your recruit in Frederick, right? And Leo Curtis. So at this point, I'm sitting back wondering, okay, the talent is already a question because of where these guys have been coming from. And then you try and plug and play, okay, what does a rotation look like? Well, your biggest dude out there is what, 6'10" in this conference? That's going to be a problem because not only are the guys at Houston, Iowa State, Kansas, Arizona, not only are they big, but they play even bigger than what a 6'11" or a 7-footer would play, right? So you look at Arizona State, is this a group that's going to be small? Are they going to run and play defense like Bobby's teams have in the past? Or is it going to be a team like somebody said earlier in the chat that maybe thrives because there isn't a quote-unquote star on this roster? Is that going to allow for a little bit more team basketball? And even if it does, is that enough?
Right, and it all might be true. They might be run and gun. They might be shooting lots of threes, and they might be trying hard on defense. Again, the sucker punch is that you're in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Right. You are going to go and play against Kansas. You're going to play against Iowa State, right? You are going to play against BYU. You're going to play against Arizona. Even the middle of the pack teams, like the Kansas States of the world, the Oklahoma States of the world. You're still going to be at an inherent size disadvantage, and you can be coached to the max. If you don't have the talent, you don't have the size, you are not going to hang in one of, if not the best conferences in college basketball. And that's, again, being coached well and being put in the right positions. And if this program is just punting this season, that's sad.
It is.
But it almost feels like it, because also if you're Bobby and you're going to try to recruit a Des Cambridge type, right? An Adam Miller type, these players that would make a big splash. What's your pitch?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, come play with a bunch of mid-major players that might be good, they might not. We don't know yet.
I don't know.
And maybe be the guy, but maybe you have to play 40 minutes a game. And for a coach that's probably not going to be here the next season.
That's another thing too for like the fan base buy-in, right? And not only just talking the expectation that if ASU doesn't make tournament, Bobby's gone. Well, how can the fan base kind of get, juiced and amped about this season? When they want Bobby gone, and if they don't ultimately make the tournament, then every guy that you just added in the portal is going to be gone anyways, right? Because they're going to have 1 year under their belt at a Power 4 school. Their coach is gone. Portal's open. Sayonara.
Okay, and if this is tryout hours, if this is get my film on tape hours, you think they're going to be playing great team basketball, or is everybody going to be out there trying to get their own, right? And trying to stay at a Power 4 level, try to transfer to a more secure school? Like, is this your last chance of the Big 12? Where everybody goes to say, hey, I want to make it in the Big 12. I want to make it on a Power 4 level. So I'm going to go to ASU because that's the only place that will take me right now. I'm going to put up my stats, put up my numbers so that I can put my film out there and enter the portal after a year. You're not going to win basketball games. You're not going to attract a fan base. It's tough.
It is tough.
JJ asks, have we outright talked on the show about why Bobby stayed?
I don't know if we've talked about it on the show specifically, but it feels very well known that it has to do with finances.
But I think we're looking at it from I think he's asking from a Bobby perspective, not from an
Bobby
ASU
stayed?
perspective.
I don't know. That's a phenomenal question.
Bobby loves it here.
He does.
But I think at a certain point you can love something and let it go.
Yeah, but Bob, what does Bobby love the most? He loves being an underdog and being counted out the most. How much more counted out can you be than
where Bobby's at right
than
now?
Where Bobby's at right now, where you didn't even expect him to come back?
Yeah, I guess that's fair for both of you guys and for the chat as well. Looking at the incoming transfers, some of the freshmen, is there anyone specifically that you feel like will be or can be the quote unquote guy this year? I think last year it was BJ Freeman. Years ago it was Amarian Jackson. You had the Desmond Cambridge era. You had the DJ Horn moment. Is there anybody on this year's team, just based off of what you've got right now, that you can be like, okay, I've got him?
Let's get this clear. As much as I love BJ Freeman, last year was not BJ Freeman. It was Alston Mason. I think he was.
You think?
I think he was the guy more than BJ Freeman was.
Like going into the season?
No, just
no. Throughout the season,
throughout the whole season,
yeah,
and
for sure,
one got kicked off of the team.
Yeah.
Mo Odom is probably the most talented, but he doesn't play like a guy that takes over games. He's a facilitator. Like that's just he's a if guys who shoot threes and play good defense are 3-and-Ds, what is a guy who plays good defense and assists? What is that called?
3-and-A? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mo just feels small to me. But I mean,
small. 6'1" isn't like
if you watch him, he looks smaller than 6'1".
I mean, Alston Mason was teensy weensy.
Yeah, he was a tiny little guy.
Alston Mason looks bigger than Mo.
I think Marcus Adams and Mo Odom are probably your two. If you're looking for the guy, are your two contenders in my mind. I mean, Marcus Adams, second team All Big West, 16-5, so another 16-point score, but played at Cal State Northridge last season. Again, not huge. I mean, 6'8's big, but he's not huge. 178th overall player in the portal.
Yeah.
These are the guys that we're talking about as your the guys for a Big 12 basketball program.
Now, I will say, watching some of Marcus Adams Jr.'s his tape, his highlights, whatever, he does feel like he can take over a game, like the type of guy that if he gets hot, maybe against a team that is a little bit undersized, that he can certainly be kind of a force under the hoop. He's got a good 3-point shot. Like you said, 16.1 points per game last season as a sophomore. Cal State Northridge, we obviously had the conversation about talent around him, who they're playing. I think if I'm looking at anybody else on this team that could potentially go for 20 in a game, because I feel like that's kind of where this conversation has to go, right, is Adante Holiman.
Great
he was
name.
the leading scorer in the Sun Belt Conference as a junior last year, averaged another 16.9 points per game, 2.3 assists, 2.2 boards. He can score at all three levels. Now, I do get a little scared watching Adante last season. He is the type of guy that is not afraid to do a heat check from way, way too far. If it goes in, you're on fire, you look great. However, with the way that Bobby coaches, and we've talked about the leash offensively, these guys can kind of just chuck up shots from wherever. I think that was something we talked about last season is, hey, these guys need to rein it in just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I am a little worried that Adante can be the type of guy that is going to just chuck it up at all times, kind of like we saw Joson do at a certain point last season.
So him and Mo Odom are going to like to share the court together.
I think Adante and Marcus are probably the guys that I look at as your stars. Mo is definitely going to be
as far as like your
guard.
scoring stars.
Yeah, your scoring stars.
Maybe not your best play. I think Mo is in the conversation for best player, but not for...
I would agree.
I think... Not that I think that he is actually going to lead the team in scoring, but somebody who can get really hot is somebody we talked about last week with Gribovich, Andrea Gribovich, 6'9" shooter. If he can catch fire from three, there's a build here. You could talk, you got a couple shot makers that can, take those difficult contested shots, create their own offense. You have a pass first point guard and Mo Odom, and then you got some shooters around him in Gribovich, right? Who's tall. He can play the four. He's probably going to have to play
professional basketball overseas.
Yeah, he's probably going to have to play some small ball five, right? And get physical, but also stretch out to that 3-point line. So maybe he can be one of the more consistent scorers on the team, but it's hard. I don't want to put expectations on this team.
You know how many threes a game Adante Holiman took?
I'm going to say 8.
8.4.
Oh!
Not even Des Cambridge took more than that at ASU.
Yeah. Again, watching him, he is not afraid to just start chucking it up, man. Which, hey, maybe fits. JJB saying Zane Meeks is back in the portal.
That'll save us.
It could. Zane Meeks had moments.
What?
Maybe a moment.
Zane Meek had moment.
I don't think he did.
I think he had a singular moment.
I genuinely don't think he did.
Well,
how much did he even play?
He played a couple games, I believe. Zane Meeks, ASU basketball.
8.4 threes per game is nuts.
How many? What do we think? Zane Meeks played at Wichita State last year. Wow,
the house that Ron Baker built.
3 points. Let's see, Zane. Wow, I do not remember his hair looking like that. Something special.
So another person that we can talk about is VJ Wallace, who transferred from a JUCO.
Triton.
He reminds me a little bit of Malachi Davis when he transferred here because a high volume scorer. Do you guys know what Malachi Davis did last year?
Nothing.
No.
Or where do you transfer to?
No, he transferred to the LIU, the Sharks. That's there. He had some unbelievable games, and I thought I bet on them to get him out because I thought they were going to make the tournament, and they ended up losing in their conference tournament. He was. Let me pull up his stats. He was pretty good.
Gosh, I really thought Malachi Davis was going to play a ton here as like a backup guard. I'm pretty sure he checked into maybe 2 or 3 games.
He averaged 17 points a game for LIU last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he did nothing for your Arizona State Sun Devils.
Just didn't play.
Yeah. Which, again, I don't know how much of that is just Bobby being like, I've got my guys.
He played in 7 games here.
That's got to be rough, dude, to pick up and transfer your whole life and then play 7 games. Like, and that's pre-NIL ridiculousness. Yeah. Like, they were still getting money, but not to the level of what it is now. And I don't know if you guys saw the report that there were, multiple programs in college basketball that intend to spend more than $10 million on their men's basketball rosters. Like, Arizona State is just not doing that.
Malachi Davis in the quarterfinal of the Northeast Conference tournament for your Long Island University Sharks had 35 points.
He was a postseason animal.
Bucket.
53%.
He was a bucket. Game. He was absolutely a bucket.
35, 7, and 7. That's crazy.
That is crazy. Arizona State could never have a guard like that.
He played every minute of that game.
He did play at Arizona State. He did play every minute of that game?
He played every minute of that game, 40 minutes.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Guys, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. We're going to continue talking men's hoops and get over to the women's side of things on the other side of this quick break. Look, it is starting to get hot outside, okay? Protect your outdoor living space with our friends over at All Pro Shade Concept. Extend your outdoor living space with a custom fit awning. They got hundreds of designs and colors to choose from to match any home. Okay, they can work with your HOA for approvals. It's motorized and retract with a remote control, all with LED lighting to light up your patio under the awning. Invite friends over, maybe have a little barbecue outside.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Enjoy the weather and show off your brand new awning. I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of the LED lighting.
Yeah.
It's
mood setter.
It really is. It really is. Turn on some tunes out there, man. It's just special. Okay, look, they can also replace and fix most old or outdated patio shades and motorized awnings. I know we got some folks here at PHNX. We got Espo, I believe Saul as well. Even use them for their home. So call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com now to schedule your free estimate.
If I owned a home, I would use All Pro Shade Concepts. And when I'm going to own a home, I'm calling this number, 480-776-5231. That is the number to the Carol Royse team. Totri, do you like guarantees?
I love guarantees.
What if I told you that Carol has an 18-month buyback guarantee where if you purchase a home and within 18 months, it's a long time, you don't love it, it's not your dream home, she's going to buy it back from you.
Literally a year and a half.
Okay, what about another guarantee? Maybe you're looking to move, but you need to sell first. Buy one of Carol's homes and she'll buy yours for cash. Because the thing is, Carol cares about you. And if you are a young person like me and want to know what you need to do, the path you need to get on to save up and buy a home, she'll sit down and she'll just talk with you to make sure that you know what you're doing. All you have to do, if you're ready to find your dream home, take the next step. Call Carol, 480-776-5231, or visit Carol online at carolroysteam.com and tell them PHNX sent you. That's carolroysteam.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Sean in the chat, the beautiful part about ASU Hoops next season is there will be less than zero expectations and therefore nothing to be disappointed about and maybe something to be surprised about.
Would good non-con change your mind?
No, I'm
undefeated in non-con.
I'm so over seeing good non-con and then what transpires after the fact. Because that feels like realistically it's been the entirety of the Hurley era, right? For the last 10 to 11 years, the fan base has gotten so accustomed to getting hyped about these transfers or whatever, and then you're like, okay, kind of a tough non-con, and they lose like one game, or they go undefeated in non-con, and then you get to conference play, and it is unbearable to watch because it's just bad, right? So I don't think even a undefeated non-con would do much for me here.
You're playing Duke in a charity game again this year?
I hope not.
Could you imagine?
I really
Cooper Flag comes
hope
back.
Not. just for that one game.
Just for the charity
the one
game.
ASU
Just
men's
to
basketball
dunk
game.
on Mo Odom.
Before we move on to Molly Miller's roster and the ASU women's basketball squad, last question for the ASU men's side of things. Is there any other additions that you guys could see Hurley adding from a position standpoint that would maybe swing you a certain way on your confidence in this roster?
Swing me a certain way on the confidence level? No. I'd like him to get somewhere above 6'10".
Yeah.
I'd like a big man. Sean
like a big
Phillips
man.
come home.
Where did he go? Did he land anywhere?
He hasn't gone anywhere. I remember last I heard he was getting interest from Kansas.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Sean
know.
Phillips,
I thought
20 and 10 game
Did
coming
he
in.
commit somewhere?
Yeah, it was somewhere kind of fun.
Let's see. Sean Phillips Jr. Let's see.
Mizzou.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Played some SEC ball.
You know that
if there's
I can see
one
that.
thing I see Sean Phillips doing, it's succeeding in the SEC. He just plays that type of
I
brand
hope
of
he does.
basketball.
I hope Sean Phillips
I can't think of a worse fit
than Sean Phillips at Mizzou.
than Sean Phillips in the SEC.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's going to have a tough time.
I don't know. I hope he surprises me. But
Man, chat knew. Steve knew. Missouri, JJB, Mizzou. What about you, Shane? Any position or any player specifically that Bobby could add in the portal this late?
A good one would help.
A good one would
Yeah.
help. Yeah, I think that's valid. I think that's 100%.
I will
fair.
take a good
I'll
player.
take a good player.
Because right now they're playing Moneyball. That's what this roster feels like.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
You got Jerrance Howard being Jonah Hill in that movie and saying, "Hey, you don't know about this guy from CSU Northridge. We can get him for a quarter of the price as a top transfer portal ranking guy."
Let's see. Nicholas in the chat, who is the tallest guy? Yeah, it is going to be
That's Santiago, right?
Yeah, Santiago, the dude they got from Argentina,
Truett?
who is 6'10". He is the biggest player height wise on this roster. The majority of the other players that they've added, the forwards 6'7", 6'8", it feels about where they're at. Grabovich is 6'9", and then you get really small with Mo at 6'1".
JJ wants PJ Haggerty, who averaged 21 points per game. That's third in the country.
Has the
last
dude from
season.
Cal committed?
Stojakovic?
He's
Yeah.
going to Illinois.
There's no way.
There isn't a chance.
No, he's
But
going to Illinois.
Would
I
that
think.
swing you?
Yeah, 100%.
That would swing you. In the
But
right
he's also
direction.
like one of my favorite college basketball
Yeah,
players. to watch.
Stojakovic would swing me. Haggerty would not to even make the team good, but watchable. Like they're still not going to be good if they get one of those players.
Yeah. It'd be fun though.
It would be
It'd
fun.
be more fun. I'm not gonna say it'd be fun. It'd be more fun than what this is currently. shaping up to
PJ
be.
Haggerty, 21.7 points per game, 5.8 rebounds per game, 3.7 assists per game, shooting almost 48% from the field,
Dog.
and 36.4% from three, 82% from the line.
Yeah,
Almost 2 stocks per game. most
ASU
of those
could
steals.
never get a
Do you know how much he's going for,
Oh,
basically?
millions.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Harden.
Unbelievable.
James. we
Goodness
need
gracious.
you.
Look, moving on from
No,
Bob.
don't do that.
No.
Like
No, there's
like,
no
save
point
your
in
money.
wasting the money on
Save
it.
like
your
you,
money.
you shouldn't do that.
Could you imagine Harden's like, I will give you $4 million over the next 4 years to spend on NAL, and they're like, PJ Haggerty this year, done.
Yeah, I could see it, knowing that it's like a final hoorah for Bob, right? Getting to Molly Miller, I feel like the vibe around ASU women's basketball is completely different than the men's side of things.
Yes.
Not just from like the hype going into the season, but the rosters as well, right? We just talked for the last 20 minutes about how uneasy and unsure and unconfident we are in that ASU men's basketball roster. I feel like the additions that Molly Miller has made already, while there's only been 5 that I've seen, they feel much more calculated. They definitely feel like there is more prowess around those names. And just watching what each one of them can do individually, it feels like Molly is building a really, really talented first roster.
To no
at ASU.
surprise, who stands out to you the most?
I feel like you could go a couple different directions. I think obviously the one they got over the weekend, an LSU guard, Last-Tear Poa. She's a national champion, right? She's pretty big for a guard. I believe she's 5'11", I think. at least compared to some of the other additions that you've seen around this conference. So there's obviously that. She didn't play a ton last season, but she's played in over 100 college basketball games. So she's got
championship
that
level experience,
exactly.
SEC ball.
I think Gabby Elliott is another fun one. She's a senior, spent some time at Penn State and Michigan State. She is a grad transfer at ASU, and she is kind of like a really, really talented floor general. Again, you're looking at somebody who's maybe a little bit older in the realm of women's college basketball. So she's certainly understands what it takes to play at a Power 4 level. But I think just maybe this is just recency bias off what I've been watching and seeing. Marley Washenitz, the pick guard, she's a lefty. She can move the rock. She can absolutely.
She's hit some crazy off-balance shots.
Yeah, she's really talented. I mean, again, a number of the players that Molly has added, you can point to, and I think they all bring their own level of hoops, I guess.
I mean, Erica in the chat says Poa is truly an insane get. To come into a program coming off of where ASU women's basketball was, and to be able to get players that not only are you like, oh, there's potential there, like there's talent there, maybe we can get the most out of them. They haven't been able to perform where they were at before. But like when you look at the numbers, you get the performances of some of these schools, like Gabby Elliott at Penn State, almost 14 points per game.
Yeah.
Like that's nothing to sneeze at. The same thing with McKenna Brackens.
Power 4 school.
At a Power 4 school, almost 10 points per game, almost 6 boards per game, and started in all 34 games. You're taking starters. You're taking double-digit scorers. You're taking players that have played over 100 games of college basketball, and you're bringing them to a program that was in complete dismay before you were hired.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the importance of what? Coaching, culture building, culture setting. You see what she did at GCU. And you talk to her about what she's going to do at Arizona State, and you are willing to take the risk, to take the chance, and to come to this program and to try to revive it.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of the sell, right? Like, come in here and help revive this program with us.
Yeah. I think, again, what Molly has said and kind of the vibe around this program feels really similar to when Kenny first got here. Right. You have to remake this entire roster with transfers and do all that type of stuff. And I guess in college basketball, you have to do that anyways. But looking at each one of these transfers and, their stories and where they've come from, the schools that they've come from, et cetera, it does feel like this is a team that is hungry to get back to the tournament, right? That is hungry to kind of shake off the narrative that ASU basketball as a whole is an underwhelming program, when historically ASU women's basketball under Charlie Turner Thorne was a damn good program, was a program that people would want to come play for. Obviously, the last regime didn't go the way that people wanted it to, that, Sun Devil Nation thought it was going to go. But now you've got a young, fiery coach in Molly, and she's adding players that make sense to this program. Even despite some of them being a little bit older, right? Like a Last-Tear Poa, like a Gabby Elliott, who are only going to be here a year.
Those types of players can still have long-term impacts.
Yeah.
And you want experienced players as well to help set a tone and to help set a culture, ones that know what winning is like. I think somebody that we need to talk about is Jordan Jones as well, the Denver guard.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about pedigree. 2022 Wyoming Gatorade Player of the Year. The first Denver University Gatorade Player of the Year since somebody who played there in 2011, 2012. As a freshman, she played in 19 of Denver's 30 games, starting 12 of them, and part of that was because of an injury. She ended in double figures in 6 games of her freshman year, including 22 points in one of those games. As a sophomore, started in all 30 games, averaged almost 30 minutes per game, 15 points, and was able to grab like up to 16 rebounds in a single game too. So not just scoring, but boards as well. And then as a junior, once again, started in all 30 games, played at least 40 minutes in 4 contests, including 42 minutes in an overtime game, was able to score 30 against North Dakota and St. Thomas. So 2 separate times scoring 30, was double-digit scoring in all but 1 game for Denver. I mean, single season program record holder for points scored at almost 600 in a single season.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It is. It absolutely is. I'm really interested to see how Molly messes with the rotation here, because there are a lot of guards that she's added, right? Last-Tear Poa, Marley, Jordan, Gabby, all listed as guards. The only forward that I've seen them get is McKenna Brackens.
Jordan Jones 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
Is able to get double-digit rebounds. So
maybe more of
play a little small ball.
Small
yeah,
forward.
I mean, when you have other guards, but somebody who's able to handle like that and score like that as a guard is impressive.
And then again, you already kind of get into the like, okay, pair Jordan with Gabby and Poa and Marley, like just kind of watching it come together. I haven't been this excited for a women's basketball season at Arizona State in a really long time.
No, I mean, not since Charlie was here.
Yeah. What about you, Shane? Feel the same way?
It's renewed hope in a program in general. Like it doesn't matter if there's not immediate success. Like,
yeah, that's true.
You have something to be excited about. Whereas when Adair came in, you were excited briefly, but it just wasn't the same. And it's an unfair ask to relieve a Hall of Fame coach. Like it's not an easy thing to do. You got big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
But now you're bringing in somebody whose trajectory is way steeper than what Adair's was coming into ASU at the time. So yeah, regardless of what happens this year, I mean, I think the addition of these players, high profile or not, it's exciting. So
I don't think they need to have an immense amount of success in the first year. I do think there are some expectations though. I know that everybody's looking long game with Molly Miller. Nobody's going to be out after year one, but I do think that going into this season, there's going to be some expectations, and maybe unfairly so, because of the fact that they're going to have to be the premier basketball program here in year one of Molly Miller instead of year 11 of Bobby Hurley.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're going to be talking to yourself saying, hey, I want to watch good hoops at ASU. You're going to be looking at this team until the men's basketball team can earn their spot back and can prove to you that they can put together a cohesive season with that roster. You have more faith in the first year head coach coming from GCU and Molly Miller. And I do think that puts a little pressure on her, but not pressure in a sense that I'm worried about it or that they can't live up to it. But I don't think that you can just go out there and have a stinker. But I don't think they will.
I don't think you can go out there and have a stinker. And like I'm with you. I don't think they will. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the terms of fandom, it is shifted from the men's basketball program to the women's basketball program because so many people are just, sick and tired of being sick and tired watching Bobby Hurley's teams year over year. And I think you can point to other programs, and I don't want it to be misconstrued that I think Arizona State is going to get to this level, but you look at programs like a South Carolina women's basketball or an LSU women's basketball, programs that are consistently competing for national championships where that fan base is all about women's basketball versus where they're at with men's basketball, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this year you're going to see that switch for Arizona State. Not to say that, again, Arizona State's going to go out there and compete for a national championship in year one, year two, whatever. But I think the fan base is really going to rally around Molly the way that they did around Kenny, the way that we've seen them do for other programs, right? Like for a volleyball or for swim and dive when they got hot, or for Greg Powers in hockey. I think this fan base at Arizona State showed that if a winner is here in Tempe, that they will show up, they will support, they'll root them on. But if you're bad and you're consistently bad and you don't do anything to change it, that's that. The fan base is drawing a line in the sand. And like I said, they're done watching ASU men's basketball until they give them a reason to do it. And I know Shane and I have argued about this probably a million times over the however many years we did this show of, do the fans have to show up or do the wins have to come first? I think at this point, when you get to year 11 of a head coach in a program, I think we can almost throw away the whole, they have to show up and support if the wins aren't coming.
I think Kenny answered that question. He said, we got to win first.
Yeah.
As much as you would like for it to be the other way around, or maybe in a perfect world, it should be that. And in some schools it is. I think that you have to put a winner here. I think people here respect winning. And that's why it was very confusing, not to bring it back to men's basketball, but it was very confusing to continue there with Bobby Hurley, obviously the financial aspect of it. But like, fans here respond to a winner. And you can hate it or you can love it, but look at how amazing and how the heights that it's reached with ASU football. Think about what it can reach with Molly Miller here with ASU women's basketball, or what's been happening with hockey. You can view it as a bad thing, or you can view it as a good thing.
Yeah.
And I view it as, hey, there's proof of concept. Doesn't matter what team you are. You're good. Sun Devils are getting behind you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a goal. That's almost like a guarantee. So if this ASU women's basketball team comes out and is just winning the first year and competes to make the tournament, somehow makes the tournament, you're going to see enormous amounts of fan support. The same way that you saw it in Bobby Hurley's tenure when he was winning early on in his career, or even a little bit later in the middle part there. There was a ton of fans.
Yeah.
There was a ton of fan support. Win games. Whether you like it or not, that's the baseline to get fan support.
That's what BC says, just win. So, Erik, before we move on to ASU football, is it going to be Jordan Jones is the one that you're going with?
I think so,
to be like, okay, this is the player to watch this year?
A 6-foot player that can play guard, forward, can rebound, has the pedigree. Dad and mom played college basketball, average nearly 20 points per game. I feel like that's the most translatable. I'm going with Jordan Jones.
That's where you're going. And I think that's totally fair. I'm going to go the most impactful transfer that Molly Miller has gotten so far this offseason, at least to me, is LSU guard Last-Tear Poa. Again, a national champion over the course of her career. She's played in over 100 college basketball games. That is going to be huge, I think, in terms of leadership and having somebody that has accomplished that at such a high level for a first-year head coach. At least at Arizona State. Obviously, Molly has been a coach elsewhere. And again, this is somebody in Poa that, while she may not score the basketball a ton, she does do other things to impact the game, similar to, obviously, what a Draymond Green does for the Golden State Warriors.
And you need that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're establishing the culture and laying the groundwork for year one. You need a player like that.
It feels like all great teams have one of those guys.
Yeah. That's why the Suns suck.
They didn't have one of those?
Nope.
Oh, my goodness. Look, we are going to transition to ASU football on the other side of this second break. Like, I don't know about you guys, but Rubus and I here, we struggle to sleep.
Yeah.
Me personally, it took me over an hour to fall asleep last night. And I'm
sorry to hear that.
It's tough. I didn't have any cornbread hemp on hand. I didn't have it on me last night. But anytime that I do use cornbread hemp, the CBD gummies that they have, they put me straight to sleep within 10 to 20 minutes. I'm out and I sleep through the night. I'm not somebody that likes to use like melatonin. For me, have bad dreams, wake up in the middle of the night. That's tough. But when we're talking cornbread hemp and their CBD gummies, I'm out. I don't have crazy dreams. And the best part, I stay asleep through the entire evening. Their CBD gummies are the highest quality, full spectrum gummies on the market. They help with stress relief, better recovery, and of course, that improved sleep. If you want to give cornbread a try, they're offering PHNX listeners 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX and use that promo code PHNX at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX. Use that code PHNX for 30% off your first order. This is the good life.
We all know that Brandon Bills has a partnership with the Arizona State University. Did you know they have a new partnership?
Really?
With the Erik Ruby playing pickup basketball university.
Explain.
Well, my hair's getting a little long.
Just a tad.
I'm letting the lettuce grow a little bit. And usually I have not liked wearing things on my head when I go out to play basketball, but it's become more of a necessity now.
Yeah.
Especially I'm playing outside. I'm getting sweaty, whatever it is. And so I popped on a Brandon Bills hat out of necessity at first. And I was like, it didn't even feel like anything was on my head. Not only did I look good, but it felt good. Performance and style, quality, it was all there with Brandon Bills. And if you're looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd, I wore our PHNX Phoenix hat while I was out there hooping. You can do that with Brandon Bills. We love to support a local company out of Mesa, Arizona, and you can get 20% off your first order. All you have to do is head to brandonbills.com, use code PHNX for 20% off your first order.
Guys, the NFL draft is this week. It is personally my favorite NFL event that they have. I honestly love the NFL draft more than I love the Super Bowl, but that also may be because my team never plays in the Super Bowl. Regardless, if you are looking for a spot to enjoy the NFL draft this week, well, look no further than Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Join Bo, Johnny, and a ton of Cardinals diehards over at Wild Horse Pass in the Upper Deck Bar and Grill for an unforgettable NFL draft party and, of course, live show presented by Circle K and Gila River. Now, Rubus, people at home probably wondering, okay, that's all fun and great. I'll go watch the draft with Bo and Johnny. But what does everything include in that one evening?
All-you-can-eat dinner buffet from 5 to 7 p.m. Drink tickets if you are 21 and over, plus raffle tickets for great giveaways. Tons of fun stuff being planned. Plus, if you are a diehard, you can get 20% off all events, including that event. And you can become a diehard for a discounted price right now, $36. That breaks down to $3 a month, and I guarantee you everybody in our diehard Discord would tell you that is worth it. But not only do you get access to our Discord, you get access to exclusive diehard written and video content as well. Discounts are all of our events, a free t-shirt or hat every single year, which comes out to about $35. So basically, if you get a t-shirt for the price of it, plus the diehard membership. So just do that.
Just do it.
I don't see why you wouldn't do that. Plus so much more over at gophnx.com/join. Help us beat the other cities, right? There's a competition to add diehards, and we need PHNX to be put on the map. Go become a diehard today at a discounted price. We promise you we will make it worth it.
Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Look, a ton of different ways that we can go moving on to ASU football. And I want to start with the transfer portal.
Let's do it.
It obviously opened last Wednesday. At this point, I believe it closes April 25th, if I'm not mistaken. So there are about 4 days left for players to enter the transfer portal. Now, once you are in the transfer portal, you obviously have as much time, I believe, as you need to actually find a home, right? So that if you've entered the portal before that date, then it's not like you can't pick a school after that date, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we heard last week that former Washington and Texas wide receiver Adante Cook was going to visit Arizona State this weekend. From what I've heard and read and seen, Adante Cook is now on a visit to Syracuse. So we will see what transpires there, but that ultimately makes me feel
school feud.
Makes me feel pretty confident that that Adante Cook may be looking at his other options other than the Sun Devils.
Say Adante to ASU is officially.
I'm not going to say it's cooked, but it's definitely on the back burner as it stands right now. But I think another player that Arizona State is interested in that they have offered. Is former BYU All-American wide receiver Keelan Marion. Posted 76 catches for over 1,100 receiving yards and 12 total touchdowns during his career. He is also one hell of a return man, which for Arizona State I think would be a big boost. They lost their return men from last year in Jake Smith, Melquan Stovall. They've been experimenting with a couple different guys in practice, Jalen Moss, Raleek Brown, Zechariah Sample. But if you were to add a guy like Keelan, that would immediately be your go-to starter. And again, we've already kind of talked about the wide receiver position over the last couple of weeks. He fits in there well.
I would rather Keelan than Jonte, respectfully.
Because of, is this strictly based off the field stuff?
I think the off the field stuff is like a tiebreaker.
Okay.
For me, because Keelan has the on field production, has the variety of being a return man or to also be in that wide receiver room that is crowded. So you need to be able to kind of earn your keep in another way as well. And playing special teams is a great way to do that as well. And then, there is off the field stuff as well, where I'm not, again, going to bury a kid because of that, especially considering what some of the off-the-field stuff was.
Yeah.
But if you're already looking at a crowded position, then give me the guy who has shown he's willing to be on kick returns and the guy who hasn't been dismissed from a team program for a variety of reasons or arrested 2 times within 10 days.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that guy doesn't deserve a shot, but if I'm picking, I'll pick Keelan over Jonte.
Do you think it maybe has anything to do with the fact that he scored twice against ASU?
Yeah, it might be. Maybe a little bit.
Why did he have 5 carries?
They were throwing everything at the wall trying to beat us.
They were trying to make something stick.
Both of his touchdowns were rushing touchdowns.
Oh, such a fever dream of a game.
Was.
And he didn't score any rushing touchdowns
all year,
other than that game.
Weird. Really, really weird. But, I mean, he would definitely provide a jolt for this team offensively. Offensively, special teams-wise, again, I think if you add him, he is immediately your day one starter as a punt returner, as a kick returner.
And then just an additional weapon in the wide receiver room.
The only problem is he is a hot commodity in the transfer portal. He has reported a number of offers to some big-time schools as well as Arizona State.
Who else has offered him?
I believe Tennessee has offered him.
They don't have a quarterback anymore.
You see pretty much UCLA's quarterback
that's
is going to transfer over to
there's a
Tennessee.
lot of schools. You ready?
Yeah, there's a lot of schools.
Colorado, Miami, Notre Dame, Penn State, Oklahoma, USC, Baylor, Maryland, North Carolina State, UCLA, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Syracuse, SMU, Virginia Tech, Ohio State, Tennessee, Florida State, and then Arizona State.
A lot. So if Arizona State's able to get him, awesome. He's a difference maker as a kick returner specifically.
I mean, first team All-American kick returner, man.
So ASU could always use a boost on special teams. I don't know if he's going to take Arizona State.
I don't know, but listen, all those schools that I listed off, Arizona State should be in the mix with all of them. They should be in the mix with the Notre Dame, with the Penn State. Now, money might come down and be a factor, but
I just don't know how much a kick returner is getting paid.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, again, if you're the best at your position,
yeah, you're getting paid.
You're going to get paid, and you don't get interest from Florida State, Tennessee, Penn State, Notre Dame, Miami, Ohio State, Oklahoma, if you're not going to be demanding those big bucks as well.
That's fair. In terms of other transfer portal visits and guys, again, Kenny had said before the portal opened last week that ASU is going to be pretty particular with positions that they added, guys that they added. If there were game changers, then they wouldn't hesitate.
He's a game changer.
He is a game changer. You obviously had the Jonte Cook situation over the weekend. So we'll see what transpires. Again, a limited number of time left in the spring portal cycle for ASU players to enter the portal. So everybody continue to knock on wood every single day that you don't see anybody in the 2-deep enter. But as of right now, you haven't had anybody that's going to be an immediate day one impact guy leave and hit the portal.
Not to put you on the spot or put you in a position to say this, because I don't think anybody's leaving from the 2D. If there was a position to lose somebody from the 2D, what do you think is the most likely? Again, I don't think either of us think that's going to happen.
Most likely position
to lose one of the 2 deep.
Ooh, quarterback. I would say quarterback, just based off the fact that Jeff has a lot of experience. Yeah. Take that for what you will. And there are certainly teams and programs that are going to lose their quarterbacks throughout the transfer portal cycle. We've seen them. That if it does come down to a shuffle, right, and dominoes continue to fall like we saw a couple years back with the coaching situation, then I could see a world where in the next few days, maybe Jeff does hit the portal and there's an opportunity. Yeah. But I think that would probably be the most likely.
And I still think that's super unlikely, because if you see Jeff and Sam interact with each other, there's a great rapport.
Yeah, I don't think Jeff wants to leave. No. I think Jeff wants to play, but I think he understands at this point that Sam is the guy. Yeah. So we'll see. But if I had to say, then that would probably be the position.
Sharon asks, running back, question mark?
No, you already lost McCaskill.
I mean, if you think about 2 deep, you're talking about most likely Kyson and Kanye.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
I don't think either of them.
Neither one's going anywhere.
I don't think Ralik is leaving.
Jason's not leaving. Ralik's not leaving. Yeah, you're fine, I think, at that position. I would be shocked if you lost any more running backs. Again, I would be shocked in general if you lost anybody else in the 2 deep, or lost anybody in the 2 deep, point blank period. But again, we will continue to provide updates as they come for ASU in the transfer portal. One of the big transfer portal additions a couple years ago was when ASU added former Washington offensive lineman Jalen Klemm. We know he didn't play the entirety of last season. It was kind of like a really weird situation throughout like spring ball and camp of like, where in the world is Jalen Klemm?
You could tell it was serious, but you had no idea what was going on.
Everybody was very tight-lipped about that whole situation. And even when he first got back this year, he had said a number of times, hey, I'm not going to say anything. And then he eventually did. He opened up about the entire situation. And he, I guess, had a stroke the week prior to either spring ball or to the start of the 2024 season, something along those lines, and was obviously out of commission for a while, dealing with the recovery and all that. And he's been pretty outspoken of like, hey, I didn't know if I was ever going to play football again. And everyone was like, okay, well, what happened? And now you understand really how serious that situation was. I think everybody, obviously the football side of things comes so secondary to all this, but I really, really love the fact that this kid has fought through everything that he has, and wanted to still play football. He wasn't going to let something like this stop him, even though it was a really serious medical situation.
That's scary.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
I mean, to be somebody who is considered to be in great shape, close to being a professional athlete as a college football athlete, and is part of one of the best offensive lines in the country and awarded the best offensive line in the country, to suffer something that, that's serious and a stroke. I mean, and now to be recovered and back playing football, I just hope that he enjoys it and soaks it up. And I wouldn't doubt that he'd be back unless he was feeling 100% and ready to go. And I'm also really glad that he got to share that on his own. Yeah. His own terms.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. I appreciate everybody in media kind of keeping that to themselves until, he was willing to go ahead and, kind of put that out there on his own. And again, I know a lot of this is about Jalen and his decision and all that type of stuff, but again, kind of just goes to show the type of player that Kenny wants, to have on this team is guys that just love this sport, man, that love football. Mm-hmm. And it is so easy. It could have been so easy, and nobody would have faulted Jalen at all if he would have went through this whole medical situation and said, hey, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to hang it up. It is what it is. And I think everybody would have supported him, right? But Kenny always talks about guys that just love the game, love football, and want to grow each and every day. And to have a guy that dealt with all that and was like, nah, I'm coming back to play football. I think, again, just speaks volumes to the type of player that he is, the type of person that he is. Too.
Yeah. I mean, I was already rooting for him.
Yeah.
Right. Already rooting for him and his individual success. But man, I mean, that doesn't give you like perspective on things either. Like, you just, you're not right in the head if that's not 100% not hitting you in the face.
100%. It definitely, like you said, puts everyone's stuff in perspective. Yeah. It's like, hey, maybe you don't have it that bad.
Yeah.
Right. Look, before we do get out of here, we've talked about the potential present at Arizona State in terms of transfer portal guys, potentially maybe some guys leaving, whatever. We've talked about a lot of the past when it comes to ASU men's basketball. And again, incoming transfers, outgoing players, whatever. But we'll spend a little bit of time talking about the future for ASU football. On3 released their updated class of 2026 QB ranking. So quickly just want to hit this so ASU fans are kind of caught up on where the Sun Devils stack there. From 1 to 10, and this is what you got. 5-star class of 2026 quarterback Jared Curtis. He is uncommitted still. 5-star Dieffenbach. He is committed to Texas. Third on this list, 5-star quarterback Faison Brandon. He is committed to Tennessee. And there you go. At number 4, 4-star quarterback Jake Fetty, committed to Arizona State. Number 5 on that list, 4-star Bo Bentley, uncommitted. Number 6, 4-star Ryder Lyons, uncommitted. Number 7, 4-star Jonas Williams. He's set to go to USC. 4-star Kayshawn Henderson. He's at Houston, or will be. 4-star Matt Ponatowski is uncommitted. And then 4-star Jet Domala is committed to Iowa State.
I mean, quarterback names are evolving just as much as the position is.
The quarterback names for this class are awesome.
Jake Fetty.
I mean, Bo Bentley is a great
Ryder Lyons. Yeah. No, I noticed 3 of those going to the Big 12, though. Mm-hmm. And Jake Fetty, ASU, Keyshawn Henderson going to Houston, and then Jet going
Great
to
name.
Iowa State. Jets is such a
Jets?
Jet, from Rocco to
I was
Jet.
just about to say.
Oh my god, dude! Yeah. I mean, but hey, ASU is the highest 4-star quarterback in the class. You know, in the top 5 in the class, coming in at number 4. The possible heir apparent to potential Heisman winner Sam Levitt. How about that?
I mean, I think that is a perfect way to end today's show. What do you think?
I think that's a great way to end today's show.
Guys, hit that like button, the subscribe button on your way out. If you enjoyed today's content, give us a follow at PHNX Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony Totri. You can follow Professor Osier at Erik Ruby. That is Erik with a K. You can follow the Deli Man at Shane Deef.
As always.
And we will see you guys on Tuesday. But in the meantime, go Devils. And peace.
Yo,